If you're in marketing, you absolutely know the pressure of hitting your metrics. But what if the benchmarks we're all chasing are actually leading us down the wrong path? Today, we're going to talk about what it means to measure what truly matters for success. This is the question, right? It's the one that echoes in every marketing meeting, every campaign report, and it probably keeps more than a few of us up at night. It seems so simple. What's a good conversion rate? We all just want a number, a target to aim for, a sign that tells us we're doing a good job. But this is exactly where we run into a massive problem. I call it the benchmark myth. See, the idea that there's some single golden number out there that defines success for everyone, well, it's one of the biggest and most common misunderstandings in our entire industry. And that's because the honest answer to that big question, and I know this isn't always satisfying to hear, is that it just depends. A good rate is completely tied to what you're trying to get someone to do, and, just as importantly, how many hoops they have to jump through to do it. So let's really dig into why that is. Chasing some generic industry benchmark is, more often than not, a classic case of comparing apples to oranges. Your business isn't a generic average, so why on earth would you measure its success like it is? And hey, don't just take my word for it. This is coming from industry leaders. The head of marketing analytics at a major global company put it perfectly. They said that you just can't get an apples-to-apples comparison using data from different places. The real key is consistency. You've got to pick the report you trust and measure everything relative to what's inside your own ecosystem. I mean, just think about the disconnect here for a second. An industry benchmark might be for something super broad like e-commerce. But what are your actual business goals? Is getting someone to download a coupon the same as getting them to buy a car? Of course not. The amount of effort, the customer's intent, it's all completely different. Your specific goals are what matter, not some vague arbitrary number that somebody else made up. Okay, so if chasing benchmarks is a myth, what's the alternative? Well, it's all about shifting to a new mindset. Let's break down a much, much better way to measure. All right, here's the new playbook. First, just stop chasing those arbitrary numbers. Instead, focus on relative performance. That means, and this is step 2, you compare your own stuff against itself, campaign A versus campaign B. This is where the real gold is. Third, doing this gives you insights you can actually use. Like if one tactic is driving a 20% higher conversion rate than another, that's a crystal clear signal to double down on what works. And finally, and this one is so important, measure for incrementality. In other words, are your ads actually creating new sales that wouldn't have happened otherwise? That's the billion-dollar question right there. So all of this really leads us to one simple guiding principle. This is your true north for measurement. Seriously, this is the thing you should have on a sticky note on your monitor. Here's the most crucial point. Real, meaningful optimization only happens when you stop looking over your shoulder at what you think the competition is doing, and instead you look inward. You have to focus on your own data, your own customers, and your own goals. That is the only benchmark that truly, truly matters. If this shift in thinking resonates with you, I highly, highly recommend you check out the source for today's explainer, which is the Ad Tech AI Files podcast over on Spotify. They go way deeper on all this stuff. You can also support them by subscribing to their YouTube channel, where they've got more bite-sized ad tech content, which, let's be honest, is pretty essential for navigating the AI world we're all living in now. And so that really leaves us with one final thought. Just ask yourself this. Would you rather be able to go into a meeting and report that you hit some generic industry average, or that you actually, tangibly grew your business? When you put it that way, the answer becomes pretty clear, doesn't it?